Good morning. Buenos dias. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of San Antonio. Whether you are here in person or online, we welcome you. Our weekly worship is where we connect with each other, we share information with each other, and inspiration. My name is Terri Chadwick. I have loved being a UU for over 50 years. And I've been a member of this church for 14 years. My daughter Tess Bobo, somewhere there, is active in this church, and my grandchildren Ben and Sydney grew up in this church. Here in this church, I helped reboot the parent group many years ago that meets at 9:30 every morning for the parents, mostly of young children, but any parents are welcome. I've also been on the stewardship and green committees, maybe some others. I briefly co-led a teens trans group. I've taught children and adult religious education. And I'm currently co-chair of the Denominational Connections Committee, which relates our church to the larger national and international liberal religious groups. Let's acknowledge this geographical place where we are currently located. Yanawama, the home and traditional lands of the Kwawatekan people, the original indigenous stewards of this land to which we all belong, now called San Antonio, Bexar County, Texas. At our church, we strive to enact a universal love that binds us in mutual care and affection, especially in our work for justice for all and for our planet. Our faith is all-inclusive, and all means all. If you are new to us or visiting for the first time, we welcome you and ask you to fill out a visitor's card. We'd like to get to know you and follow up with you. Wherever you are on your life's journey, we hope that you will find your place with us.
Howdy. So good to see you all. Thanks for coming out on this weekend, a kind of a holiday weekend. How many get a holiday on Tuesday? That's good to see. I think I'll take one too. Thank you. Welcome to this Sunday celebration of sanity and stability in our increasingly disruptive world. Here we gather to practice our calling to unite as different and sometimes disagreeing people. That all right? Our country's motto, E pluribus unum, is Latin for out of the many, one. Well, we aspire to that oneness. And we know it's a bumpy road, this democratic process. Out of the many, one. I ask us today, is that who we are? Let's join together now and find out. And first, let's reach out to our neighbors, whether you know them or not, and greet one another. Let's say hello. Let's sing. Turn in your hymnals to number 134. It's the big hardcover gray book. And we'll rise in body or spirit and sing all four of these short verses. Our world is one world. Jaime? Thank you all for singing out so well. Let's be seated and enjoy our chalice lighting.
Let us recite the chalice lighting in English and Spanish. The words can be found in your order of service and on the screen. We kindle this light in celebration of the life we share. Celebremos compartimentos nuestros vidas, encender esta luz.
Thank you all. Thank you, Terri. We are called as Universalists and Unitarians to build the beloved community where all are welcome as blessings. Let's recite our covenant that articulates our promises and binds us together. Please read. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other. En español, el amor es la doctrina de esta iglesia. Su sacramento es la búsqueda de la verdad y su oración es el servicio. Convivir en paz, buscar sabiduría en libertad, dar a la humanidad nuestro servicio fraternal para que todas las almas crezcan en armonía con la divinidad. Así pactamos el uno con el otro. Bueno. Each week, we enact a ritual candle lighting to symbolize the bright flames of our lives. It's an opportunity to reflect our joys, our sorrows, and our concerns. And so now it's time to get up as you are willing and able and to move to the front light a candle, and circle back to your seats, coming down the side aisles and going back on the center aisle. This sacred space holds us all as we are, and about whom we are curious. Let's light candles to mark this moment in the hopes that their lights will lead our hearts toward love. Please, come forward. Thank you all, and thank you, Jaime. Thanks to our worship associates for helping us facilitate that ceremony. This is our book of joys and sorrows, which is in the foyer. before and after every service, and today we have a number of entries that some of you have provided. We are delighted to have Terri Chadwick serving as lay reader today, here and in person. Thank you, Terri. We remember the beautiful life of Mari Brown, the widow of the Reverend Dr. Dwight Brown. Mari died on June 22nd. She will be memorialized next Saturday, July 8th at 4 p.m. at the UU Church of the Hill Country in Kerrville, for those of you who might be interested in attending. Carolyn and I plan to. The yellow roses on the chancel are a Texas farewell to Dorothy Wallace. From our church, we will have a tribute to her later in the service, and afterwards, we invite you to please join her to wish her well. Joyful for returning from a week at U Senior Camp that empowered youth and transformed lives, I reflect that, quote, "You have given me a treasure, and I love you so," exclamation point, close quotes, our beloved Tavis McGeehan. And Marilyn is here. Hello, Marilyn Stavinoa. Prayers for healing for a young man who was found at the side of the road, overcome by heat, in the hospital to get into recovery and regain the use of his kidneys. Don't dehydrate. Hydrate. So incredibly grateful for the U camps. Our 2 young adults are there now, and our hearts are full. Familia Buhanda Moore. Grateful for Aiden and yes, Dante. Diane Dusterhoff and Mike Phillips will observe their 25th wedding anniversary on Tuesday. They were married by the inimitable Reverend Art Severance right here in this sanctuary. And a million thanks are hardly enough to Dorothy Wallace. She's given so much to this church and the people who have met her. She will be missed immensely. I invite you all to go into that space that you might go into when you think about reflecting, when you think about prayerfulness, when you think about centering, and take a deep cleansing breath. Fill yourself with air and let it go. And do that again, inhaling and exhaling. May we allow ubiquitous spirit of love and life to fill us and refill us. May we be reminded that it is this surging of life that lives in us and between us and through us and among us. There's no place where this love may not go. There is no place where our lives do not have meaning. May we know this as surely as we breathe, inhaling deeply and exhaling. Blessed be. Amen. Thank you. It's time for story wisdom. And here's our Bridget Laughlin, our Director of Lifespan Religious Education.
Hey, Lilith. I'd like to invite all of the young people and people who would like to participate in this story to come on up front and join me. All right, so if you were paying attention earlier, you heard Reverend Mark say that there's a holiday on Tuesday. What holiday are we celebrating on Tuesday? Does anyone know? No? It is kind of an anniversary. Yeah. It is the 4th of July. Well, there's going to be cake, but that's for a different reason. No, Tuesday is the 4th of July. Does anyone know why we celebrate the 4th of July?
Because it's a holiday.
It is a holiday. It's a celebration. It is the celebration of, well, not exactly. We don't exactly celebrate our church. What happened was, originally there were people that came to America from England. Have you heard of England? It is a country that's across the ocean. And they lived here, and they still had to follow all the laws and all the rules and pay taxes, pay money to the king over in England. But the king had never been here, and he didn't really know what was going on, and the rules that they had didn't make sense, and the people didn't think that they should have to pay taxes when they couldn't even vote or have any say in what was going on. Does that seem fair? No. So the colonists decided that they wanted freedom from England. So that was a big decision because they felt that that was the right thing to do. Oh, well, so they decided, they told the king, we want to be free. What do you think the king did? No. Right, he said no. He wanted their money that they were paying him. That is why we don't have a king anymore. Oh, good. And so the colonists said, well, we're going to do it anyway. We're not going to send you any more money. We're not going to send you anything. We aren't going to pay taxes. And the king sent a bunch of soldiers over, and there was a war called the Revolutionary War. And the colonists, the people who lived in America, eventually won that war. Even though it was dangerous and hard, yes, we won. And so, what we're celebrating on July 4th is our Independence Day. Independence is when you're free, and they're celebrating the freedom that we had from England, okay? So our country was started by people who fought a war. They fought for what they believed was right and good. When was this war? World War II was much later than that. It was a different war. Okay, so, but hold on, let me finish the story, okay? Okay, so what happened is we celebrate now because our founding fathers, the people that started this country, fought for what they believed was right. Now, they made a bunch of mistakes. They did things like, when they started the country, women didn't have any rights. They owned slaves. They owned people, which is not good. They took the land away from people that already lived here, and they killed a lot of people, and they did some things that were really bad. But they started the country believing that we should fight for what we think is right and good, even if it's scary and hard. And we continue that tradition today. Sometimes what we're fighting for is fixing the mistakes that those people made, but we still fight for what we believe is good and right. So what I would like you to remember, my future rebels, is that when you see the fireworks up in the sky on Tuesday, don't think about the fact that this is like a revolution that happened a long, long time ago. Think about those as sparks for your revolution, for you doing the fighting for what you believe is good and right. Okay? All right. So that's my story for today. And now we are going to go to class as the congregation sings you out, okay? So you can follow me.
Travel guide you safely. May a friend be always at your side. May the love you find here in this moment guide your way and fill you with delight. Que sea seguro tu camino, que un amigo esté siempre a tu lado, que el amor que sientes este momento te guíe y te llene de placer. It's time for our invitation to generosity. Our church has many opportunities to serve as a beacon of hope, justice, and generosity in our community. And each week we take an offering. So let's now do that and ask you, whether you're here in person or online, to consider our mission and our ministries. We invite you to make a contribution on our website or on the link on the chat stream, or for those of us in the sanctuary, in the baskets being passed by the ushers. With the ushers, please come forward and thank you. Here's some music. Thank you, Stephen and Jaime, for musical fireworks. Yeah, let's hear it one more time, huh? And we bless the givers, and we bless these gifts. Amen. Wow. Was that soft rock or just dimmed? It was definitely rock and roll, and I like it. What is patriotism? Today's message is written as an encouragement to us, perhaps to remind us of some of the better history of our democracy, and to inspire us to become participatory patriots at a very important and critical time. You see, I was born just after World War II, when the USA was feeling its strength of the war efforts and finding ways to prosper and grow. Now, after all these years, this is a country in which it is more easy to imagine frequent, widespread, politically inspired violence. And additionally, our political institutions are not working as intended. Congress can't seem to pass meaningful legislation. The Supreme Court, with its conservative majority, appears to be set on dismantling policies created by more liberal courts. As well, it is mired in ethical issues that it seems incapable or unwilling to self-correct. And the possibility of a free and fair election of a president is being called into question, and worse, being sabotaged by unscrupulous politicians. So, what? Me worry? What is there for us to do? The responsibility still falls upon us, we, the people, to come together to speak for and uphold our union. And especially in this season of intense partisanship, we must recommit ourselves to building a more perfect union with goals like restoring and maintaining our shared civic life and generating feelings of goodwill that Lincoln called the better angels of our nature. Now, one organization Carolyn and I have found helpful is called Braver Angels. I'd like to reference some of its tenets, which you may find constructive during this era of divisiveness. In a time of growing separation, we must pledge ourselves to words and deeds intended to help us seek out, find, and truly meet each other, to connect as citizens. We must start with a commitment to understand and recognize the patriotism of Americans who voted differently than us. We need to inquire about their genuine grievances and even walk in their shoes for a while. That way, when we oppose their political views, we will still honor them as persons of worth and dignity, even though we disagree with their views. Now, some of you have shared with me that you have tried to speak to your family members who have opposing political views. May I respectfully suggest that you might begin speaking with people you don't even know, like those you will meet at a Braver Angels coordinated event. They share a similar mind in you as they wish to learn how to communicate with others regardless of their political beliefs. And practicing first with others may just cultivate your skill set in facilitating conversations that will undoubtedly be more challenging with your loved ones. You know what I mean? I admire your willingness to engage, for we have a big task to work together across this political chasm to create solutions grounded in our Constitution and guided by our democratic and nonviolent traditions and our sense of shared destiny. History shows that most democracies have not failed due to external challenges, but rather due to internal ones. They erode or corrode from within due to corruption and deceit, rather than being brought down by outside forces. At stake for our collective American experience is nothing less than democracy itself. What the world has watched for almost 250 years as an experiment in self-governance, beginning with the principles of the Declaration of Independence. In these 18th century words, that all men are created equal and possess certain inalienable rights. We've grown since then. These are difficult aspirations to fulfill, yet legal, equal, and fundamental rights are the promise of our American experiment. Let me share with you a slice of our history. The Declaration of Independence, written by Thomas Jefferson, said that it was the law of nature and nature's God that imbued people with inalienable rights. You see, Jefferson, Washington, Madison, Franklin, and Adams all believed in God. But at the same time, they were not religious fundamentalists or even orthodox believers. They were deists, dissenters, and religious liberals by the standards of their time. Some, like Patrick Henry, were fairly orthodox. A few, like Thomas Paine, were so radical to be non-Christian, a non-believer. Jefferson, a deist, declared himself a Unitarian. Our second president, John Adams, was a member of a church that became Unitarian during his lifetime, and he's buried in that church, as is his wife, First Lady Abigail Adams, and his son, our sixth president, John Quincy Adams, and his wife, First Lady Louisa Catherine Adams. Two presidents, two First Ladies, all buried in First Parish Unitarian Universalist Church. And no other church in the United States can say that. Likewise, Washington, Franklin, and Madison believed in God, but they used terms like providence, or the term Jefferson used in the Declaration, the laws of nature and nature's God. This is not a traditional biblical phrase. It's a deist phrase. Now, I still find it interesting, maybe some of you don't as much as I do, interesting and important what the founders believed. They were not as secular as some on the left like to think, and they were not as orthodox as many on the right like to think. As a group, it's fair to say that they actually believed in the laws of nature and nature's God, and that they endowed us with inalienable rights. They thought religious faith was important, that it gave palpable moral and ethical guidance, things necessary for a good life and a good government. But they did not want adherence to a particular religious belief to be required, especially to hold political office. And the Constitution makes that clear. They did not want a national religion, and the Bill of Rights makes that clear. They wanted our nation to be a land of religious liberty and tolerance. values that we as Unitarian Universalists aspire to. Dare I say, actually live. Now, in one of the last letters of his life, written 10 days before his death, Jefferson wrote of America's hard-won freedom from the king, who merged church and state together to reign over others, acting as if only monarchs were chosen by God to wield power. And on June the 24th, 1826, Jefferson wrote, quote, "All eyes are open, or opening, to the rights of man. The general spread of the light of science has already laid open to every view the palpable truth that the mass of mankind has not been born with saddles on their backs, nor a favored few booted and spurred, ready to ride them legitimately by the grace of God." Unquote. Slightly ironic, considering that Jefferson was a slave owner. For the Founding Fathers, as difficult as it may be, God's grace was universal and not limited to those with royal blood or priestly confirmation. And we owe a great debt to the founders. And they were far from perfect. They were contradictory. They were controversial. They believed in liberty, but some kept slaves. They believed in virtue, but many lived complex private lives. But they all believed in the general idea of religion as a force for stability, but several had very unconventional religious practices. George Washington refused to kneel and pray, and he was known not to take communion. In fact, when a clergyman admonished him for not taking communion, Washington responded simply by ceasing to attend church. Still, he explained the American victory in the Revolution as directed by the hand of Providence, going on at great length about how God had defeated the British Empire. That's George Washington, general and then President George Washington. Yeah, these are complex and self-contradictory people, but they laid the groundwork for much good. And today we continue to hold their truths articulated in the founding documents to be self-evident, but not easily achieved. We have many promises to live up to, and may we have the wisdom to fulfill the promise of the founders, to achieve the blessings of liberty, justice, and peace for all. And may we have the strength and the clarity to pass on their vision to future generations. Now, I'll say this: being an American can help us live our UU principles, because this country provides religious tolerance for us to seek the God of our understanding, not the God of the government or the dictates of any religion. And being UU can help us achieve what James Bryce, the British ambassador to the USA from 1907 to 1913, expresses so beautifully, quote, he wrote, "The USA is not the only thing to which we owe our allegiance. It's also owed to justice and to humanity. And patriotism consists not in waving the flag, but in striving that our country should be as righteous as well as strong," unquote. It's not enough to be patriotic. We must be active participants in our democracy. Veteran diplomat Richard Haas has written a new book entitled The Bill of Obligations. In it are described the 10 habits of good citizens, which presents the fact that democracy works best when citizens recognize not just their rights, but their duties. I encourage you to check it out. Finally, I very much like what George McGovern said. The highest patriotism is not a blind acceptance of official policy, but a love of one's country deep enough to call her to a higher plane. As Americans living in a time of dissent, and when was that ever not the case? Our patriotism calls us to bind up our disagreements and find a common cause with political adversaries. Even if our current policies don't allow us very much wiggle room for compromise or even reconciliation, we as citizens can show our patriotism by respecting the way our fellow Americans lawfully show theirs. We can call our country and all our citizens to the goal of achieving a lofty purpose of creating a more perfect union. Can we do that? That's what we try to do around here with our voting rights and our calls, our practically infinite number of calls to representatives in the government, creating a more perfect union. Thank you for your patriotism, whatever that may mean to you. Amen? All right. I invite us now to sing "This Is My Song." And think about your patriotism. You'll find it in our gray hymnal at number 159, and I invite you to rise in body and spirit. Thank you, and please be seated. We extinguish this light, asking for the insight to know who we are, the foresight to envision where we're going, and the hindsight to learn from where we've been. Let's go forward from here and make it a good day. But first, before we gather on the patio for cake and punch, the fellowship hall that's air-conditioned for cake and punch. Thank you so much, organizers. I'm glad all this stuff doesn't depend on me. Allow me these few minutes to offer our fond farewell to Dorothy Wallace. I hope I can keep it together. Today is the last Sunday in a while that Dorothy will be joining us in church. In the near future, she's moving to New Mexico. And as she puts it, quote, "My life is taking a new turn and I'm going where my spirit moves," unquote. You darn right, Dorothy, you do that. We all wish her well as she travels on her new path. And we're gratified to hear that she will keep her membership here and participate by Zoom in upcoming church activities. Dorothy is an incredible teacher and a role model. She'll be attending an occasional meeting and participating in Sunday services. Dorothy will be missed more than we fully appreciate at this moment. She has done so much for so many for so long in this church. Here's a brief recap. She's been a member here for 25 years. She's served twice as board president, from 2010 to 11 and again from 2020 to 21. In the past year, she served as both stewardship chair and chair of the capital campaign, during which substantial funds were raised. Before that, for many years, she was on the stewardship committee, which is crucial to our church's annual fundraising through your generous pledges. She organized our successful 75th anniversary party and dinner at the food bank this past year. What a great event, bringing so many together for fun and fellowship. And she's organized, planned, executed more fun events than we can count. Music, meals, ice cream socials, celebrations, Thanksgiving turkey. Throughout her time here, she's been a stellar church leader and a greeter, a generous financial supporter, and a mentor to many leaders. Dorothy's dear friend and current board president, Heather Hedquist, captures her spirit, and I quote, "From the start, Dorothy jumped right into community. She volunteered for everything. She was an RE teacher, a membership chair, a director in our old way of doing leadership. She became a General Assembly junkie early on and knew people across the UUA. She knew everyone in the church. No one was ever a stranger, and she would always welcome and invite you in." Heather continues, "If you wanted something done, you contacted Dorothy. If you needed to know who to approach to ask a question, you contacted Dorothy. If you needed to know something on campus where it was stored, you contacted Dorothy." She has been, for 25 years, the ultimate leader of this church, putting in long hours needed to accomplish great things. She could envision a party, stewardship campaign, a capital campaign, and make them happen. She would find volunteers, find the money, find the excitement, and find the joy, so that everyone would want to be the part of every event too. Dorothy, my friends, is a born leader who has generously donated her many skills and tireless commitment to this church community. Thank you for your heartfelt and accurate remembrance, Heather. On a personal note, from the moment I arrived 3.5 years ago, Dorothy has been a dear friend, a supporter, and a wealth of information on how to get things done around here. And I hope she remains only a phone call away. It will take many of us to take on and fill Dorothy's many roles. And if you think you can help, please contact me or Heather. We have some ideas for you. We are sending a gift, this fine gift on the screen, a lamp, a mineral lamp made of agate. Dorothy has been a rock for us, and she's been a light for us. May you enjoy this light as a thankful remembrance from us. Dorothy, this church is a much stronger organization because of your many gifts so freely shared. We will miss you terribly, and we hope you miss us. We look forward to your visits. Thank you more than words can say. And so for now, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and thank Dorothy for 25 years of generosity and outstanding leadership.